Hello, everybody. Bigfoot Mission Rob here. It's Saturday, about 11 o'clock in the morning. Doing something different. Yes, these are true cryptid encounter stories that I always do every Saturday for you guys. What's different about today's show is a couple things. You're getting 4 stories out of my book, Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters, found on Amazon. Just type in Bigfoot Michigan Rob. You'll find it. Or you can find the link on this video, or of course on my YouTube page. So something a little different. Also, I'm going to be experimenting. These are typically videos that you guys watch, but I'm thinking that I might air this live in the chat room. Of course, it'll be pre-recorded, but I might give you guys something if you guys want to gather in the chat room. And BS like you all do. Undecided, of course, BMR runs by the seat of his pants. That will be probably a last-minute decision on my part. Regardless, you're still getting the stories. Subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube if not already. Like, share, super chats, super thanks. They're all open. Subscribe to Texas Front Porch and, of course, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. Tonight, the live show, midnight. Yes, the live show is taking off, everybody, at midnight on Saturday. Myself, Krista, Brandy, Monica, and Tex talking Dogman and Bigfoot all night long tonight at midnight, as we've been doing now for a little over a couple months. I'm also on Tuesday nights with Krista at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday afternoons at 1 p.m. in the East, and, of course, Saturday night. I hope you enjoyed these out of my book. If you've not bought it, thank you. Book 2 is coming out end of the summer. So this is, if you haven't gotten this one, you might want to consider buying it before book 2 comes out. It's doing pretty well. I thank you all for the support. If you bought the book, please leave a review. I love you. I appreciate you. So you're going to get a double dose of BMR in the early afternoon and late at midnight, along with my fellow teammates, if you will. Let's get on with it. Thunder Mountain Bigfoot. No, you know what? Thunder Mountain Dogman. How about that? Rob, I do believe that dogmen exist. I also believe that they are here with no good intentions. I think they like to just create chaos, anxiety, and much worse. I don't know if Lucifer himself has a dog. If he did, I suspect it would be Dogman. My name is Tom. Rob? I was unsure about giving away where in Idaho this is. Then I thought perhaps giving a general location would not be a bad idea. Because, Rob, I just need people to know. The place I live is in, or at, or near the foothills of Thunder Mountain. This takes place in the year 2017. My great uncle Max had just passed away, and Max, he did okay for himself. He did well enough, in fact, that I received a small ranch, a farm, if you will. It came with 2 cows, 2 horses, and roughly 15 chickens. The home was very nice with a wraparound porch where I could survey my property and just get lost in the beauty of the land. The mountains, the river, and woods that lined my property was beautiful. I had a stable for the horses and a barn with, of course, the chicken coop. The barn was left open for the cows to enter in and out as they pleased. When they were done grazing, they, went in. I'm not a farmer, nor do I attend cattle. I'd planned on selling the cows and the chickens as I had other plans for my property. Most likely, I was planning on keeping the horses. Now the stage is set. Here's what I went through. After living on the ranch for several weeks, everything was fine. I had gotten in touch with a local rancher to have the cows and chickens taken off my hands, and frankly, I was relieved. In fact, I just about gave the animals away just to get rid of them. The deal was struck, and on a Monday, and by the week, deal was struck on Monday, and by the weekend, they would be gone. Wednesday night, I heard a ruckus about 9 p.m. in the evening out back. It was coming from the chicken coop inside the barn. I never heard these chickens making so much noise, and frankly, they sounded nervous. It was just different. The cows were out in the field, and the horses were in their barn. Upon venturing over to the chicken coop, I noticed that the coop was smashed to pieces, and half of the chickens were ripped apart. They were literally torn, as if done by hand. The majority had their heads pulled completely off. The 7 or so chickens that were making the ruckus were spared, more than likely as they were trapped on the underside of the chicken coop. It somehow appeared that who or whatever did this did it for pure pleasure. I do mean pleasure. It was just what I had sensed. These chickens were not eaten. They were just flat out killed. The story gets worse from there. The cows were a distance away. I am guessing they were as well a bit frightened because the distance from the chicken coop was considerably further. I felt it strange that during this commotion, I did not hear the horses from the other barn. I started to get a queasy feeling in my stomach, and my heart was pounding. As I gained closer to the barn, I got past the door and looked inside, and to my horror, disbelief and shock, there lay my 2 horses dead. Both throats had been slashed, and the heads were twisted almost completely around, and it appeared as though their necks were broken. I am in shock. What happened here, I thought. I wondered aloud. Who or what could have performed such evil? I suppose if the chickens and even the horses had been fed upon, eaten, what have you, dragged off the property, it might have made a difference. Perhaps a desperate predator, hungry? That wasn't the case. I mean, Rob, this felt like a murder scene. I tried to get my composure together and call the local authorities to have them investigate. And I imagine filling out a report and so on and so forth. But first, my hands are shaking. I go to my liquor cabinet and pour myself a good long belt. After I swallow down the shot, I'm going to make that call. I was sitting facing my bay window with the tree line 30 yards away. You could see the mountains in the distance. It was a calming sight with a very high and bright moon illuminating the area. At first, I was feeling calmer after my drink and vision came about. Well, the vision gave me, at my first glance, the appearance of the devil himself. On 2 legs rapidly approaching, red glowing eyes ablaze, the moon illuminating a perfect shadow, elongated snout, ears pointed, and pitched off on the side of his head, extruding ears. I'm sorry, Rob, that's redundant. And I don't edit these. I read them as the people send them in to me with some edits, just so you guys know. It had glistening, sharp fangs. Before you know it, this beast is at my bay window. It's looking in. In fact, it is so tall that it had to crouch down to peer into the window. And peer in it did. It looked directly into my soul. I feared for my life. Then it appeared to grin at me. A sinister grin, it mocked me. It slowly brought up from its left hand, and I mean a hand with extended claws, 2 dead chickens. With the right hand, this devil dog raised it up and waved goodbye, as if to say, till we meet again. It vanished off into the moonlit night. Crazy, eh? Owasso, Michigan dog man. The moon was bright, and it seemed as if the forest was eerily silent for my recently purchased Owasso home in the fall of 2012. The foliage of the woods was starting to turn magnificent. The color, the browns, the greens, the yellows of nature were vibrant, and the smell of somebody burning a fire just before dusk prompted me to go take a walk down the trail that was just at the end of my half-acre property, leading back into the wilderness. I exaggerate when I say wilderness. My property is located just outside of the DeVries Nature Conservatory. The trail starts from my plot of land connected to a thoroughfare to the conservatory. I found it comforting to see the moon in the twilight as nightfall began. It lit up the trail as I embarked on this journey. I always felt secure and relaxed in the woods. This night, however, after 15 minutes of hiking beneath the moon, I began to feel uneasy and could not put my finger on it until it appeared. The light on my path, the further ahead that I looked, the moonshine on the pathway dimmed and became less visible. Then approximately perhaps 50 yards in front of me, directly in the middle of the trail, some sort of being materialized. I stopped and could not believe the size of this four-legged animal. Right away I thought wolf. This wolf was coming closer towards me. Frozen in my tracks, my feet said run, yet physically I can't. This beast is on all fours and had to stand 4 feet from the bottom of the ground to the top of its head. This can't be a wolf, I thought aloud. Well, my intuition was correct. As the wolf approached, the four-legged creature arose to 2 feet, and that oversized head exposed 2 red eyes that seemed to be, in measurement, at least 8 inches apart. This thing had doubled in size. I finally broke free from my hypnotic trance, and I was in. I turned and I ran. I slipped, I fell down. Frantically, I got back to my feet and looked back at me. This creature was now 50 feet before me. I realized that running would do me no good, and I surely was poised for a certain and imminent death. Then the beast started to dematerialize into a mist and disappeared before my eyes. I still can't believe what I saw that fall day in Owasso, Michigan. These first 2 stories, Dog Man, a lot of commonalities, the red eyes. Those red eyes, there's something about those red eyes. Louisiana monster. Early summer 2001, my brother Steve and I, you can call me Ron, were hiking in the bayous of Louisiana. I'm not going to give out the exact location, despite not giving my real name either. The folks of this particular location have been spooked for decades, and still, I'm a member of this community. I was 32 years young back then, and have waited to email you this for months. I'm now 53 years old, and this is the first time I've written about this. I've been waiting to find a source to offer my encounter, and Rob, I found you. There are many of like you, Rob, that do this, but I feel you're genuine and you do not discriminate. I appreciate all you and your group does. Thank you for that. Steve and I had taken our swamp boat deep into the bayou looking to do some gator hunting. Our boat back then was very loud and distractive. Because of this, when we were close to our hunting area, we would shut it down and drift for several hours to ensure that our disturbance would be unfounded. This location for years was deemed taboo, and that many strange hauntings have plagued this area. Many a man has come back shaken and confused, with little words uttered. In speaking with old man Jasper, I had told him where we planned to travel. He emphatically urged me not to go to this spot. He implored me, any spot but there. I was always intrigued by the legend, and old man Jasper got my juices flowing. We reached the spot early, around 5:30 a.m. We shut down the motor and drifted down the swampy waterways for about an hour, occasionally using a paddle to keep upon a straight path. The tree-lined vegetation and the incredibly silent bayou gave me chills. Not a sound could be heard. This was very odd. It was a warm day, but I had caught a chill. This never happens in the swamp, as it is always hot and humid, with perspiration continuing to roll down your back. This was different. I was cold, and my sweat from earlier gave me the feeling of an ice cube being rubbed up and down my spine. I looked to my brother Steve, and he was actually shaking from the cold and pleaded with me to turn back. He said, "Ron, something is lurking from the boggy shoreline. It feels unnatural." Certainly, with the both of us being cold, this alone was not right. I decided that my brother was right, and we went to fire up the boat and got the hell out of there. Then, upon attempting to start the vessel, it would not turn over. From the shore of the swamp, we heard a sinister, almost witch-like laugh. A laugh that seemed to be mocking us. Steve and I felt uneasy and started to panic as the shrilling laughter got louder and louder. It appeared to get closer, and still our craft would not start. I looked to the edge of the swamp and tried to find the source of this haunting laughter, when suddenly I saw a figure of what appeared to be a man. But this man had the head of a giant wolf or some obscene creature. I can't say wolf, Rob. It was just something that was not human or natural, but it had human elements. The creature was jet black with high pointed ears. The snout looked kind of like a dog, but not like any dog I'd seen. It then proceeded to walk parallel to the shore on two legs, and it appeared to be carrying something in his arm. I couldn't clearly see. The beast then disappeared back deeper into the swamp's edge out of sight. I went back to try and start the boat, keeping my eyes to the shore, when suddenly what appeared to be the dead carcass from this alleged creature had in its arms was flung out. It looked to be that of a small alligator. It landed not less than 3 feet from the boat, precisely tossed. The gator's jaws were both snapped backwards, and its bowels were protruding out of its body. Horrified, I looked back into the wood. Excuse me, guys. Horrified, I looked back into the wood line, and that laughter started up again. And eventually, it dissipated. All went silent. Miraculously, I got the boat started and without haste sped back to where I felt safe. I do not know what this was, Rob, but I tell you what, I felt evil for the very first time. Last one, everybody. Those red eyes followed us home. June 8th, 2008, Rockford, Illinois. Rock Cut State Park. My name is Bill, and my wife is Judy, residents of Rockford. The state park is less than 7 miles from our home. For the past several years, starting in 2001, we often visited this park to hike, go camping, and get in some fishing. It has become one of our favorite spots because of the close proximity to our house. And frankly, it has some of the best scenery in Rockford. At least in my opinion, this man's opinion. Really briefly to everybody, Rockford, Illinois, I lived there for like 90 days. Yeah, I was doing some contract work. Spooky. Rockford, Illinois is spooky. The drive from the home also is magnificently lined with pine and spruce trees, amongst the other fresh green ambiance and the beautiful fall colors in October. In fact, June and October are usually the 2 months that we like to camp, while the other months we love to hit the trail and enjoy the outdoors. The smells of nature is really what Judy loves, and in fact, this is where I first met her in June of 2001. Of all the places to fall in love and meet, a wooded trail in Rockford. It was love at first sight, and we were married the following summer of 2002. The years of 2002 through 2007, camping and hiking at Rock Cut State Park was nothing less than spectacular. These were the best years of our early marriage. Something changed, however, during the summer of 2008. That summer, we were forced to find another spot to set up camp. We were disappointed that we had to move from this camping area due to the fact that the state had decided to construct a welcome center and built a 200-foot tower and observatory. So Judy and I were off to find a new spot. And after several weeks of exploring, we came across a beautiful location 10 miles north of our original spot. A creek ran through the spot and had a trail that was heavily traversed by deer roaming through the area. The creek proved to be a great source of trout and smallmouth bass that we could catch and prepare for our meals. Judy and I, when we went camping, traveled lightly. When it came to packing, we brought some dried foods, some canned vegetables, the appropriate clothing, and lots of coffee. We only brought a small amount of water, as Judy loved to drink from the creek after we appropriately filtered it. Judy always said, "Be one with nature." Kind of one of the things that I first was attracted to her. The time had finally come, I should say, to christen our new site and plan a long week vacation June 2008. The first day in our new haven, we spent the entire morning fishing and just enjoying the deer that roamed across the creek. All were in full view. This we thought was perfect, and we warmed up right away to our new abode. Day one was just perfect. The following morning, we got up and went back to our fishing spot. But that day felt strange. It was overcast and a slight drizzle started coming down on us. Unlike the previous day, we did not see any deer, and Judy told me that she felt as though from across the creek that there was something there. Not only that there was something there, but just peering in and watching. I did have this feeling, and I told Judy it was just our imagination. After an hour, my mind had changed, as I too felt a presence and could not put a finger on it for the entire week. We felt something foreboding and ominous. Not to ruin our day, we preserved and kept about our camping trip and fishing. It was not until driving home that this whole story takes another turn. I had made mention earlier that the drive to this campsite was lined with trees on either side of us and was a peaceful ride all the way to our driveway at our home. Yes, we live in the woods, and this is what makes us love living so close to Rock State Park. During the drive, 20 to 25 miles per hour, I felt this presence of being watched despite driving in our vehicle. It was like something was following us from the wood line, keeping pace with the vehicle. I felt this to be absurd, and I turned to Judy and she said, "Stop the truck." Something in the woods has been following us. She kind of shouted that at me. Now my gut felt as though it had been punched. We were on the same wavelength, making this really extremely creepy. We stopped, got out of the truck, and looked into the woods. After about 10 minutes of nothing, Judy said, "Bill, look there." I looked towards the tree line, and perhaps 10 feet deep or so, I saw two massive red eyes. All these stories have commonalities with these creatures. You guys understand this now, right? That's why the dad is important. Another set of red eyes. The red eyes were staring back at us, unlike anything that I've ever seen. I urged Judy to get back into the truck, and I kid you not, we continued to see those eyes paralleling the car, keeping up at 15 or 20 miles an hour. We're less than 15 minutes from our home, and we still sporadically see those red eyes. Finally, I had enough and accelerated to 40 miles per hour. And to my amazement, those eyes, they continued to follow us. It lasted maybe all of 20 seconds, then finally disappeared. It was such a relief when we got back home. Still on edge, we left our vehicle unpacked to save for the morning. After settling in at our home, Judy made some coffee, and we went out on our wraparound porch. Our home sits right in the middle of a half-acre lot, with the woods on both sides. In fact, you have to drive about 20 minutes south of our home before you get out of the woods. Then, the first thing you find is a local gas station and a small shopping area. Then, after drinking our coffee and getting ready to turn in for the night, out into the tree line, those glowing red eyes appeared, perhaps 4 feet above the ground. Judy and I were paralyzed with fear, and the eyes got close. And the closer that those red eyes got, the taller this figure appeared until it stopped. Not 5 feet outside the tree line, what we saw gave me chills. Chills me to this very day. Sitting atop a rather slim frame was what appeared to be an oversized wolf's head and was standing upright. You could distinctly see the pointed ears. They had to stand up at least a half a foot or so. The head was wolf-like yet misshapen. Then it dropped to all fours and raced back into the woods, howling an awful, dreadful howl. Not like any wolf I'd ever heard. The reason I can see this so clearly is because the moon in the back of the creature was high and bright that night, giving off full illumination. The weird thing is, we don't have wolves in these parts. The next morning, I went to the tree line where I saw this entity, wolf or whatever it was. I found no sign of anything, no tracks, no broken foliage, nothing. I even walked at least 20 yards back into the tree line, and still nothing. Judy and I have never seen this again, but sometimes, late at night, we hear that dreadful howl that shakes your inner core, as if to remind us both that it's there watching. To answer your question, do we feel we are being watched? Yes. Yes, Rob. Every day. The strange thing is this. We do not have a single intention on moving or selling our place. That might be stranger than this experience. I got the hell out of there. I don't know what you all think about that. I probably wouldn't move. Something evil followed them home. An attachment, perhaps. I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed the excerpts from my book. Bigfoot Mystery Represents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, found on Amazon. Book 2 coming out end of the summer. Don't forget tonight, midnight, me and the gals and Tex, Bigfoot, Dogman, all night long. Midnight in the East, 10 Central, 11 Central, excuse me. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, please share, please subscribe. See you guys later on tonight, and enjoy the rest of your 4th of July weekend. BMR.